Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, we're ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear.
Please stand by for opening remarks.
Hi, I'm Judy Gregoire, the camp director here at Sea Camp Association, Inc. in Big Pine Key, Florida. We're excited to have everyone watching today for this historic event. Sea Camp's mission is to teach youth about the marine environment by immersing them in the environment through snorkeling, kayaking, wading in the shallow water, and other experiential programs. Here's our questions.
Hi, my name is Lara. How can you do science while floating?
Hey, Sea Campers, and welcome aboard the International Space Station. For our first question, I think that's a great question. Gravity helps a lot when we do science on Earth, but without gravity, we have to figure out ways to fix ourselves to the station so that we can keep our hands free and actually do the science. So we actually have a glove box right here next to Talk and I. And right next to Talk, there's a foot restraint that we'll deploy so that we can sneak our feet in there and get nice and comfortable. And then we can use our hands to work the pipettes and work the DNA and work. We just did a ring sheared drop experiment recently, so working with different types of experiments with our hands in the glove box. But you do have to be careful without gravity. Things kind of sneak away from you sometimes, and so pipette tips or other things might go flying around. That's one of the other reasons we keep it all contained in a glove box.
Hello, my name is Dylan. I'm in 3rd grade. Has there ever been research conducted on corals or on coral growth on the International Space Station?
Hi, thank you for a question. No corals have been studied on the International Space Station so far. However, the ISS has contributed to coral research through Crew Earth observation. So we take a lot of pictures of Earth from here so that researchers and scientists can use some of those photographs with other tools for various studies, and those pictures can provide a record of changes such as increases or decreases in the size of coral reefs.
My name is Gavin. My question for the astronauts is, are you able to see coral reefs or living things from the International Space Station?
Hey, Gavin. So as Tak just said, yeah, we can see the coral reefs. We can see the different colors in the oceans. And then we have a couple really big zoom lenses for our cameras up here that we can get the telephoto lenses. So we can actually see a few details on the coral reefs. But the way that we contribute to the science for that is through the photography of it and the change over time, like Tak said. Actual other living things like animals and things are really tough to see. You know, we can't even see the airplanes that fly over the Earth. We're 250 miles above the Earth. So if you think about trying to see something that small above from 250 miles away, it's really tough, and you need a really good zoom lens.
Hi, my name is Gretchen, and my question is, being able to see our planet from the International Space Station with its vastness of oceans, have you seen a notable size difference in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch from your time starting on the International Space Station till now? Thank you.
Hi, thank you for a question. So even from 250 miles high, it's super difficult to see the Great Pacific Garbage Patch because it's mostly underwater, and also it consists of microplastics or very tiny particles. So those things are very difficult to see with our eyes. And so in order to prevent such a pollution, I think it's important to prevent those plastics from entering into the ocean in the first place. So to to preserve our ocean more in a more cleaner state. Thank you for the question.
Hi, my name is Isabella. My question for you guys is, are there any current experiments on the International Space Station focused on looking at climate change or the Earth's water cycle from up above?
Hey, Isabella, that's a great question. Yeah, we have actually over 200 experiments on the International Space Station going on at any given time, both inside and outside the space station. So the external ones often look down at Earth. An example is an experiment called EcoStress, and it's taking thermal infrared imaging of the Earth, and it allows us to see water stress and heat stress on plants, and it also allows us to look at paved surfaces versus vegetated surfaces, so we can kind of get an idea of heat and urban areas versus vegetation, and then water use, and then also water existence across the world, especially in the remote areas of the world.
Hi, I'm Khan, and my question was, do you think floating around in zero gravity is comparable to floating in the ocean?
Yes, to some extent. Actually, we do training for spacewalk in the pool, in the water. And NASA has a huge pool right next to Johnson Space Center. And that place, we use that place for our spacewalk training. However, there is one big difference. So in the water, our bodies get a lot of resistance from water. But in microgravity, we don't get such a huge resistance because air is so light. So actually, in the microgravity, it's very easy to move. But on the other hand, it's very difficult to get stabilized or stop our motion. And on the other hand, in the water, it is difficult to move, but it's easy to stop. So that's the difference between the water and microgravity.
Hi, my name is Kate, and my question is, how is your body affected when you come back to Earth after living in a no-gravity environment for so long, and how does it compare to returning to dry land after the weightlessness during scuba diving? Thank you.
Hey, so yeah, when we get back to Earth, our body has to readapt to gravity. So the body is an amazing function where it adapts really quickly to microgravity. So as soon as we get up here, your muscles start to atrophy, you start to lose bone mass, because bone density, because you don't necessarily need it. You're no longer fighting against that gravity force while we're up here. And so when we get back down on Earth, we work out every day to maintain all of the big muscles and maintain strength and bone density. But all those little stabilizer muscles, they tend to get much weaker, and so it's a lot of rehabilitation for us when we get back to ensure that we can build all those small muscles back up. And then also the vestibular system needs to figure out what gravity feels like again, because our brain uses our eyes mostly for what's up and down up here. We can't really trust our vestibular system anymore. So there's a lot of rehabilitation that goes into recovering after a long duration space mission. I think after scuba diving, you get back on land and you might have some water legs. So I would compare it slightly to that, but on a much grander scale after a long duration mission.
My name is Lily, and my question is, there are currently problems with ocean pollution, and a lot of research has gone into reducing ocean pollution. Is there a problem with pollution in space, and what do you think is the best way to address this?
Yes, there is pollution in space. It's space debris, and it's mainly from old satellites that are not functional anymore. So I think solutions can include like repairing old satellites instead of launching new ones, or we can taking them out of orbit. But those both options are super difficult in technical meanings, so we might need to develop a new technology to do so. But it's very important problem right now we are facing. Thank you for the question.
Hi, I'm Molly. I was wondering if aquaponics or any other closed-loop systems have had success in the space station.
Hey, Molly, yeah, we've grown quite a few different types of plants up here on the space station using aquaponics or hydroponics, and we've been able to study the physics of fluid flow in microgravity and how to get water and nutrients to the roots of those plants. So we've grown a lot of different types of vegetables, and actually, fun fact, the ISS is one giant closed-loop system, and so one of the things that we're testing is, as we go on to the moon and Mars and further out into the universe, how do we recycle all of the water that we need in order to get further away from Earth without a resupply mission? And ultimately, we're going to have to be able to reuse 98% of our water or more in order to make those trips happen, and we're testing technologies out on the International Space Station right now to make that happen.
Hi, I'm Cruz, and are there many marine organisms like hermit crabs that can survive on international space stations and water tanks?
Yes, with a proper facility, it's possible. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, which is the organization I belong to, used to have aquatic habitat for fish, and we used the facility from 2011 through 2015, and it was used to house zebrafish for the studies of muscle loss. And also we had Medaka. It's a fish with translucent bodies, and we study Medaka in order to get more knowledge about bone loss in space. So it is possible. Thank you for the question.
Hello, my name is Colin, and my question is, how does training with scuba in NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory compare to performing an actual spacewalk? And is there anything that you experienced on a spacewalk that the training in the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory did not prepare you for? Thank you.
Hey, Colin, I love your question. The Neutral Buoyancy Lab, as Tak mentioned earlier, the giant pool that we put the spacesuits on, and then we go down underwater, and we have an entire mock-up of the International Space Station. So the training is actually pretty similar to what a spacewalk feels like, with the exceptions that Tak talked about, where you have the water friction, and then we have safety divers that put different weights or foam in the suit to make us neutrally buoyant. But there's still air pockets in the suit, and the suit sometimes moves without you trying to move. So the movement in a suit on the spacewalk is much different. But overall, I would say the exhaustion level is pretty similar. So you're pretty tired when you get out of the pool, and I was pretty tired when we came back inside from the spacewalk. So you're just physically doing something slightly different, but just as tired. And then I think the one thing that it can't prepare you for is the view. I was suddenly aware of just how thin my visor was when we got out the hatch, and it's just you in your spacesuit and your crewmate, and you're looking across the hatch at each other, and then I look down at Earth, and it's really tough to convince your brain that you're not going to fall. So it was a fantastic experience, but there are just some things you can't prep for.
Hi, my name is Grace, and I was wondering, what are the physical fitness requirements to becoming an astronaut? Thank you.
So in general, you need to be very healthy, and I'm not exactly sure about each requirement, but there is a lot of medical screening during the astronaut selection process, including like a bone density. And also annually we have to take medical physical exams in order to get qualified for long duration spaceflight. So you need to be very healthy in general. Thank you for the question.
Hi, my name is Lily, and my question is, how has spending time in space changed the way you think about our daily lives on Earth? Thank you.
Hey, Lily. So I think one of my favorite parts about being up here is the view and being able to look back at this fragile blue marble that we have that we call home. And, you know, when we look down on Earth, we're looking at the entire population through one window. And so it just reminds me how fragile life is, how fragile the Earth is, and how much we need to do in order to take care of the Earth. And it really excites me about the science that we're doing here on the space station because it informs the way that we do life on Earth. So I think it's just opened my eyes to how beautiful the Earth is, how fragile it is, and how if we all work together, we can really take care of it and move forward and get onto the moon and Mars eventually.
Hi, my name is Gabriel. I got a question for you. Does the food taste good in the space station?
Hi, some of it tastes really good, but since I'm just a human, so there is some food that I'm not a big fan of, and it's just like on the ground, and this is a food container, and we share each container together. So if you like something that nobody else likes it, so you get lucky because you can kind of monopoly that food. So it's just like what you have on the ground. There is good food and also the food maybe you don't like so much. Thank you for the question.
Hi, my name is Madeline, and my question is, what do you study about the Earth, land, and oceans from the International Space Station? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Madeline. So we actually study quite a bit. We've already talked about the Earth observations that we do from here with just our photography, but we also, like I said, have a lot of different experiments on the outside of space station looking back down. Another example is the JEDI experiment. So it's actually a laser that looks at the three-dimensional side of Earth, so it's mapping the different types of habitats, and it can help with learning about the biodiversity of the Earth. So it's a pretty unique tool that we have in order to inform, again, all those remote areas of the Earth that we can't go study on foot. The space station actually helps us learn about those parts of the world.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us today and for all of those questions that were submitted from sea campers from around the world. We hope everyone enjoyed all of the STEM connections that were made here today. And we would like to invite all of the astronauts when they return from the International Space Station to come and visit us here at Sea Camp. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.